For 50 years, investigators and journalists have scrutinized more than 2,500 suspects in connection with the Zodiac killer's terror campaign across the Bay Area. Yet, despite that massive pool of potential culprits, the trail kept winding back to a single, quiet, heavy-set man from DeLeo, California. A man surrounded by physical and behavioral coincidences that appeared nearly impossible to ignore. His name was Arthur Leigh Allen. He remains the most investigated suspect in American history, yet never faced a formal charge for the crimes. The sheer volume of evidence pointing his way created a strange reality. For decades, the public essentially treated the case as solved, which makes the fact that he was legally innocent entirely unsettling. Curious, slightly darker tone. Allen was a former elementary school teacher fired twice, once for bringing a loaded gun to campus and once for molesting a student. Years before the murders even began, a friend reported that Allen openly talked about hunting couples at lovers' lanes. Most chillingly, Allen described using a gun rigged with a flashlight to blind his targets in the dark. That highly specific technique matched the verified operational method the killer would later use in the field. The physical connections are just as dense. Allen wore a Zodiac Seawolf watch featuring the exact crosshair symbol the killer drew on his letters. He lived minutes away from the site of the Darlene Ferrin shooting in Vallejo, and his shoe size matched the boot print left in the mud at Lake Berryessa. After his death, a police raid on his home uncovered a royal typewriter with elite type, the exact machine used to type the killer's taunting letters. Inside, they also found the same type of ammunition used to shoot the victims at Lake Herman Road, and a knife closely resembling the one used in the Lake Berryessa attack. In 1991, Michael McGaugh, the man who survived the shooting at Blue Rock Springs, was shown a police photo lineup. He pointed directly at Arthur Leigh Allen, identifying him as the man who pulled the trigger. By the early 90s, the behavioral foresight, the seized physical artifacts, and a direct survivor identification made the case against Allen feel complete. There seemed to be zero room left for doubt. In 2002, forensic scientists managed a breakthrough that should have ended the mystery forever. They successfully extracted a partial DNA profile from saliva found on the killer's letters. They tested it against Arthur Leigh Allen's profile. It was not a match. Overnight, 30 years of investigative certainty evaporated. This result devastated the investigators and the Northern California communities they served. They needed Allen to be the answer to resolve the trauma the killer had inflicted, and science had just taken that closure away. But researchers soon uncovered a critical flaw in this forensic victory. The DNA was collected from the outside of a stamp, not from behind the seal. That meant the genetic material could belong to anyone who handled the envelope, from a postal worker to a journalist. Because of how that sample was collected, the test failed to firmly convict or fully clear Allen before he died of a heart attack in 1992. The investigation was permanently frozen in a state of ambiguity. With Allen gone and the DNA inconclusive, the vacuum of answers triggered an explosion of new theories. Independent investigators pointed to Gary Francis Post, a house painter, citing alleged confessions to friends and specific geographic patterns they believe are encoded in the killer's ciphers. Another faction focuses on Richard Gaikowski, a Bay Area journalist. Proponents note his striking resemblance to the composite sketch and his training as an army medic, which accounts for the clinical, precise way the killer tore a piece of Paul Stein's shirt at the San Francisco crime scene. The newest lead surfaced in 2025. An independent investigator presented evidence linking a man named Marvin Margolis to both the Zodiac case and the 1947 Black Dahlia murder, claiming to have decoded his alias, Marvin Merrill, from one of the unsolved ciphers. Federal and local agencies maintain these as active files, subjecting the evidence to high-level review and forensic testing today. Modern detectives are actively chasing these new shadows, but none of these contemporary leads have ever managed to replicate the terrifying, suffocating density of physical and behavioral evidence that originally pointed to Arthur Leigh Allen. There is one chronological anomaly in this case that is difficult to ignore. In 1974, the killer's relentless campaign of terror and taunting letters simply stopped. This timeline tracks the killer's correspondence against Arthur Leigh Allen's whereabouts. In 1974, the letters flatline, aligning exactly with Allen's 3-year prison sentence. While behind bars, the killer went completely silent. Following Allen's release, one final letter was postmarked. After that, nothing. This creates an impossible tension. Investigators have an unbroken behavioral timeline that tracks flawlessly with one man's movements, but it sits at odds with a single, highly contested DNA test from the outside of a stamp. It forces a hard look at the limits of early 2000s forensic methodology. If the science failed due to cross-contamination, the true killer took the answer to his grave. Despite the passage of 50 years, law enforcement refuses to let the trail go cold. Multiple agencies are actively applying modern genetic genealogy, the same technique used to identify the Golden State Killer, to the existing case files. In April 2025, a retired FBI profiler revealed that unreleased police files, unseen evidence, and buried witness testimonies still exist outside of public access. At the center of those remaining secrets is the Z13 cipher, an unsolved 13-character code that investigators believe contains the killer's actual name. We are left with a haunting reality. The man who terrorized Northern California either died right in front of the police, or he remains entirely unknown. Subscribe to join us in Part 4, where we open that final cipher.